Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive. And today we're going beyond the usual discussion about like GPAs and graduation rates. We're going really deep into a critical question.
Yeah.
Is the way we measure student success actually failing the students that it's supposed to help, and especially those from underrepresented backgrounds?
I think that's a really critical question. We're not just dealing with numbers. We're talking about real lives.
Right.
And, higher education is supposed to be about opportunity for all.
Yeah, and we have some research
Yeah.
that challenges these typical ways that we measure student success, like attendance, course completion, and graduation rates.
Right.
These seem really straightforward, but the research argues they're not the full picture.
Yeah.
It's almost like judging a fish
Yeah.
by his ability to climb a tree.
Yeah.
And it's completely missing the point.
Well, what they're talking about here is that, these metrics that are easily tracked often become stand-ins for actual learning and success after college. They simply don't capture the unique journeys of individual students, especially those from underrepresented backgrounds facing systemic barriers.
Yeah, and the research really emphasizes how students from these backgrounds face a very different set of challenges that these metrics completely ignore.
Yeah, imagine needing to work multiple jobs to make ends meet. Yeah. Or imagine coming from a high school that hasn't adequately prepared you for college-level work.
Right.
And then let's not forget the bias that often happens when work is assessed.
Yeah, it's like we're using a single yardstick to measure completely different things. Have you ever encountered a situation where a single measurement didn't tell the whole story?
Oh, all the time. And that's precisely the problem with these metrics. By focusing on them, we're not just failing to measure success, we're potentially making inequality worse.
Wow, that's a strong statement. Can you explain that a little more?
Yeah. So think about it this way. Colleges concerned about their overall rankings and statistics might hesitate to admit students from underrepresented backgrounds because they're worried about how those students will impact their graduation rates or GPAs.
So we're talking about a system that discourages colleges from taking a chance on students who really need support.
Yeah, and this pressure to maintain those simple metrics can lead to some really counterproductive practices.
Like what?
For example, we see institutions lowering academic standards instead of providing resources and support that students need to truly succeed.
Right.
They're just pushing students through the system as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
And that means that essential investments in skill building and tutoring get pushed aside.
It's like we're valuing speed over substance.
Exactly.
The appearance of success rather than actual learning and growth.
That's right. And that brings us to the core of the problem. Are we really preparing students for the real world? Especially those from underrepresented communities who already face so many barriers to success.
Yeah.
I mean...
Yeah, that's the real question, isn't it?
That is the real question.
Yeah.
It is the big question, isn't it? And the research points to a significant disconnect between what we prioritize in higher education and what students really need to succeed in their lives and their future careers.
It's not just abstract academic ideals, right? It's about real-world impact. So how do we bridge that gap?
Right.
The source mentions equity-centered metrics. So what does that mean?
Yeah, so equity-centered metrics shift the focus from measuring outputs, like graduation rates, to actually evaluating the development of skills and competencies.
Okay.
So think about it. If a student from an underrepresented background graduates, but they lack critical thinking skills or communication skills, are they really set up for success?
That makes a lot of sense. So instead of just checking the box of graduated, we should be asking, can they apply their knowledge in real-world settings?
Exactly.
Can they communicate their ideas effectively? Can they solve complex problems?
Yeah, and it goes beyond just assessing individual students' skills.
Okay.
Equity-centered metrics also look at how institutions are supporting students from these backgrounds.
Right.
Are they offering adequate mentorship, tailored resources, support systems?
This is really interesting to me. It's not just about shifting the metrics for individual students.
Right.
But it's about holding the institutions accountable.
Exactly.
For creating a truly equitable learning environment.
Absolutely. And it really requires a fundamental shift in how we incentivize colleges and universities.
Okay.
Instead of rewarding them for simply pushing students through the system, we should be incentivizing them to invest in programs that foster real skill development and that support the unique needs of marginalized students.
So things like mentorship programs and tutoring services and maybe even restructuring the curriculum to focus on those real-world applications.
Yeah. We need to think beyond the traditional classroom.
Yeah.
And recognize that learning happens everywhere. Internships, community engagement research projects, all valuable experiences that can contribute to a student's development.
This makes me think about how we talk about the skills gap that employers are facing.
Yeah.
Graduates, especially those from underrepresented communities, are entering the workforce, lacking those essential skills, critical thinking, communication.
Yeah. And that gap is a direct result of prioritizing credentials over competency. We've created a system that rewards checking boxes instead of fostering growth and development.
It's like we're giving students a map, but no compass.
Yeah.
They might have a degree, but they don't have the skills to navigate the real world.
It underscores why this conversation is so important. We need to reevaluate what we truly value in higher ed.
Yeah.
Is it about producing graduates that can just regurgitate information, or is it about empowering individuals to become critical thinkers, effective communicators, problem solvers?
And for students from these underrepresented backgrounds who already face so many barriers, this shift is even more critical.
It's not just about personal achievement. It's about breaking down systemic barriers and creating a more just and equitable society.
This reminds me of something you said earlier, this idea that the current system can actually discourage colleges from admitting certain students from underrepresented backgrounds.
It's a harsh reality. But that pressure to maintain high graduation rates and GPAs can lead some institutions to prioritize students they perceive as low risk.
So students who might require more support, more resources, might actually be penalized by the system that's supposed to be helping them.
It's a tragic irony, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it highlights how deeply flawed our approach to measuring success is.
These are real lives, real futures. So how do we start to make this shift? The source mentions moving beyond one-size-fits-all approaches.
It starts with recognizing that success looks different for different students.
Okay.
We need to value a wider range of outcomes and create systems that support individual goals and aspirations.
So for some students, success might mean going to grad school. For others, it might be starting their own business or going straight into the workforce.
Exactly. And for many students from underrepresented backgrounds, success is about breaking cycles of poverty and creating a better life for themselves and their family.
And those are the stories that often get lost in the shuffle of these statistics and rankings.
We need to start valuing those stories and create systems that support those journeys, not penalize them.
This makes me think about the role of faculty in all of this. How does this shift impact how we teach and mentor students?
That's a crucial question. Because faculty are on the front lines of this.
They're the ones interacting with students every day. Witnessing the struggles and the triumphs.
So how do we empower faculty to be more than just deliverers of information? How do we support them as mentors and guides?
It starts with recognizing and valuing the work they do beyond the classroom. Mentoring, advising, providing emotional support, all essential aspects of teaching, especially for these students.
But those efforts are often invisible in the current system of evaluation. We're rewarding research and publications, not the time and energy.
It's a systemic problem. We're incentivizing the wrong things. And it creates a disconnect between what we say we value and what we actually reward.
So we need to change the metrics for student success, but also rethink how we evaluate and support faculty.
If we want to create an equitable and supportive learning environment, we need to empower faculty to be the best mentors and guides they can be.
So what does this all mean for our listeners? Well, it's a call to action for all of us to really rethink our assumptions about what it means to succeed in college and in life.
We can't accept these traditional metrics at face value, We have to dig deeper, ask tougher questions, and demand a system that really supports all students.
If you're a student, be your own advocate.
Don't
be afraid to ask for support and to challenge those who see you as just a number.
And if you're an educator, think about how you're measuring your students' progress. Are you really measuring what matters?
Are you providing the guidance and mentorship they need to develop those skills and competencies that are going to help them beyond the classroom?
And for those of you who are passionate about creating a more just and equitable society, support policies and initiatives that prioritize skill development,
Absolutely.
mentoring,
Yeah.
personalized learning.
Yeah, we need to move beyond these one-size-fits-all approaches and really embrace a system that recognizes and celebrates the unique journeys of each and every student.
We need to remember that behind every data point is a real person with dreams, aspirations, and the potential to make a real difference.
We need to create a system that nurtures that potential and empowers all students, regardless of background, to achieve success.
Absolutely. And that is something worth fighting for.
It is.
Well, thank you all for joining us on this deep dive. We hope it's given you some new ideas about what it means to succeed in higher education.
Yeah, keep learning, keep questioning.
Keep pushing for a better future for everyone.